Hi there, Intro to Digital Imaging, GRA 220. How are you guys doing? This is welcome to week two. And back in week one, we looked at a couple of different things. We looked at the image capture process using a camera or a scanner. And that's something that's really, really critical, getting your images into Photoshop or into the digital realm, whether it be Photoshop, Illustrator, or InDesign. So that's critical, of course. That module covered basic color corrections and tonal adjustments. And basic color corrections and tonal adjustments are also very critical. As a matter of fact, everything that you're going to get thrown at you for the first 2 weeks here is going to be what I consider to be one of the foundational underpinnings in all of digital imaging and digital composition. So really, really try to soak this stuff in the first 2 weeks. I'll give you some examples in a second. However, the color correction stuff is really so important because as designers, I can honestly say, as somebody with 25, wow, a lot of experience, you're never going to get an image in your entire career that is ready to be placed into a piece of your design work. It just is not going to happen. Every image you ever get, even if you shoot it yourself, is going to have to be adjusted, digitally adjusted. And typically, those adjustments are going to involve tonal and basic color corrections. That's tonal, T-O-N-A-L, and basic color adjustments. So, and you'll always be using adjustment layers as we learned in week one. And then here, you just want to brush up on this stuff right here. That's all in week one, but this is what you want to take away for week one, okay? So, in week two, I want to take you over to week two and let's have an idea. Let's have a look-see at what we have. So my description shows that we'll be using selection tools. What are selection tools, guys? Okay, I have an image in Photoshop, okay? I have an image, and in this image, I have this in Photoshop, and let's say in this image, I only want to take the skaters out. I want nothing in the background. I only want to use the skaters. So what I can do in Photoshop is I bring that image by scanning it or digitally shooting it. I bring it into Photoshop, and in Photoshop I use what's called non-destructive editing, meaning that you never destroy pixels in Photoshop. At any rate, what you're going to do is selection tools. You're going to select using one of Photoshop's selection tools. You can select the skaters, okay, and separate from the background so that, boom, all you have are the skaters. It's like a masking technique, and it isolates only, it isolates, I like that book, I don't want it to bend. It isolates only the pixels that you need, and it discards the rest. No. I say discard, I don't mean it throws them away, I don't mean it destroys them, it hides them, okay? So that's what we're talking about, selection tools and non-destructive editing techniques. And that's what I'm talking about, masking. That process I just talked about is called masking. Non-destructive, again, non-destructive, non-destructive, non-destructive. You're gonna hear it probably 400 or 500 times through the next couple weeks. No eraser tools, no destroying pixels ever in Photoshop. Okay, that's your mantra for the next few weeks. And then we talk about importing images into Photoshop. So back from week two, in module one, take a look at all of those color correcting tools and videos. That's critical stuff, guys. Really, really important stuff. Listen, I know that sometimes these classes, a lot of times as students, we expect things to come to us, but listen, in this class, you have to go out and get those things. They're not going to come to you. Luckily, they're all right here for you, so everything's compiled in a nice little neat package, so you only have basically one-stop shopping. But, for example, here in our Graphic Designers Toolkit in Chapter 4 and 5, I'm going to go over, I have my book open here, and I just want to take a look. For those of you who haven't opened a book yet, my, it's a wonderful, wonderful book. And in Chapter 5, I just want to show you Chapter 3, 4, and 5. Chapter 3 from last week, Adjusting Images in Photoshop. It's all right there. how to adjust images, good bit images, and how to tell what types of techniques to use for adjusting images within Photoshop. And that's based on the visual attributes of that image. So that's important stuff. Working with selections and channels. This is what we're talking about this week. Selections to create your masks, and channels are also ways of making selections in Photoshop. So that's something that's going to need to be really, really understood. And this book is so wonderful because it gives you little examples and little ways to work through each of the techniques. Like, for example, here we're extracting this car from its background, just like I described a second ago. We have the quick mask and other selection techniques there. Then we also have chapter 5, using layers. Be sure to read that whole chapter. I know, well, I would. The required reading for this week doesn't require the whole fat chapter, but I would read it. You'll read it at a future date anyways, I think next week. So then what do we have here? It looks like we have we've got these atomic learning videos, guys. And for Photoshop CS6, Illustrator CS6, and we got this video tutorial masking technique. So, I mean, if you pop one of those open, guys, I don't know if you haven't looked at Atomic Learning, boy, you're missing so much of an enormous asset for your, to bolster your education here. But here's all these wonderful videos. And this is the Photoshop intro training for Photoshop CS6. Don't forget you have one for Illustrator in there as well. So let's see. Then you have this 2.1 image processing activity. Use selection tools and masking to prepare an image for the final project. And in that, you're just going to shoot or select a high resolution image that contains an object that you can isolate from the background by using Photoshop's masking techniques. Pretty self-explanatory there, so I'm going to leave that. If you have any questions, go ahead and get with me on that. But that's pretty self-explanatory. Then you have this page composition activity: create a basic magazine page file for the final project. And that, again, just go to the video tutorials, and everything's right there in there for you guys. I mean it. I really do. I mean it. And any question you have will be answered in the video. So my suggestion is go straight to the videos first. This is your introduction to Photoshop, so I can't sit here and teach Photoshop online. I mean, it's all right here. These have all been hand selected here so that you can learn them on your own time. Okay, really super important. I urge you, for the success of this class, to go through all of the video tutorials and all of the resources that are supplied for you. Okay, so yeah, you have that. You have your 2.2 page composition activity, and then you have your 2.1 image processing activity. Yeah, and then of course you have your guidelines and rubrics, and take a look at those, guys. You know, before you turn your work in. I always would open when I was in school, and I did attend school online, guys, so I know the drill. I got my master's online, so I do know the drill. But when I did attend online classes, I always would make a habit of opening that rubric right in front of me and having it there so I could look at it while I'm working on my projects. So that's what I have for introduction to this Welcome to Week 2. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, please get with me. This is just module 2, this module overview. I just popped open, so if you're wondering what that is. But anyways, as I was saying, any questions, comments, concerns whatsoever, please, if anything's not making sense in the tutorials, let me know. Sometimes Photoshop gets a little buggy, and there might be a little setting that's giving you all sorts of headaches that can be quite an easy fix. So, all right, man. Hey, you guys are awesome. Week 1 was awesome. Good job. I'm keeping this under 10 minutes, so I'm going to cut it short because I'm getting close. So anyways, I just want to say this is a big class, and you guys are really super active, and I am too. So I'm trying to keep up as well as I can. But if I fall behind a little bit, guys, it's not my style to fall behind. But if I do, it'll never be more than 2 days before you don't have activity. And I will never make you wait 2 days for comments on a project, hopefully. So I just want to say good job because it's a big class and everybody's super active. So, all right, see you this week. See you in discussion board, and thank you.